Why? Because he's Khalifa. Because he's Khalifa. And the Amr is for the Khalifa. If nothing else, right or wrong, he's Khalifa. You obey the Khalifa. The moment he passed the order, everybody had to obey him. But now, like, you've got a division amongst the Sahaba over this issue. Eventually, it leads to a point where now civil war breaks out amongst Sahaba. Civil war breaks out amongst Sahaba. And remember here, these Sahaba are not just a run-of-the-mill. These are the leading Sahaba. On one side, you've got Ali Radwan. The other side is Sayyidina Ammar, Sayyidina Bilal. Some of the greatest Sahaba on one side. Who's on the other side? Sayyidina Aisha, Sayyidina Talha, Sayyidina Zubayr, Sayyidina Muawiyah. This is not just average Sahaba facing off. This is the leading Sahaba. More blood is shed of Sahaba in these two battles, Siffin and Jamal, the two battles, than in the whole wars against Quraysh. More blood is shed in these two battles. Sayyidina Ali radhiyallahu anhu, eventually what happens then? Then you get a faction that arises out of them. A faction that will remain until Yawm al-Qiyamah. What happens there? Two wars take place, blood is shed, too much blood is shed, too much blood is shed. So then they suddenly realise it's gone too far. Sayyidina Ali agrees to arbitration, to have a mediator come and start trying to bring some peace. And Sayyidina Muawiyah also agrees to it. Sayyidina Ali and Sayyidina Muawiyah both of them agree to peace now, bring an arbitrator to try and negotiate a peace settlement. But then you have a faction, the Khawarij, the original rebels. They broke out from the ranks, carrying the banner in the Quran, in al-hukmu illa lillah. Judgment is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot have a human arbitrator. The haqq must be maintained. That was their slogan, that was their banner. The thousands of them came out of the army of Ali and the army of Muawiyah, and they gathered together and opposed all of them. They opposed both sides, they opposed both factions, but these were extremists amongst the early generations. These were what we would now call extremists. And these were people that the Prophet foretold, and he told Sahaba, he said, their prayer would belittle your prayer. You would look at them, their prayer would belittle your prayer. He said that Iman doesn't enter into their hearts. Iman, he said they leave the fold of Islam just like an arrow leaves a bow. And there's nothing, it's all superficial. They broke out from the ranks of the Sahaba and opposed the Sahaba. They fought against the Sahaba. They considered them to have deviated completely because they allowed for human arbitration. Although human arbitration is stated in the Quran, like in the case of a husband and wife dispute, it says, bring a hakam, bring a judge, in the state of, in the situation of Hajj, where somebody hunts an animal. The Quran mentions bringing an arbitrator. So what happens there? They all gather together, they oppose Muawiyah, they oppose, and eventually they're the ones who killed Sayyidina Ali. They're the ones who killed Sayyidina Muawiyah, the Khawarij. Sayyidina Ali, when he speaks about them, makes an important statement. He says, he speaks about the Khawarij. Two statements to mention here about the Khawarij. The first of them, he said, these Khawarij, he said, will remain in this ummah until the last days. And he said, the last of them will fight in the armies of the Antichrist against Isa. The last one will fight in the armies of the Antichrist against Isa. But when he was asked about them, when he was asked about the Khawarij, and this is something that all this factionalism now in the Ummah, so take the statement to say and what he said. When he was asked, these are people who shed the blood of Sahaba. They've thrown the Sahaba out of the fold of Islam. They've done far worse than what's happening now. When he's asked about them, he's asked, are they kuffar, are they unbelievers? He said, بَلْ هُمْ مِنَ الْكُفْرِ قَدْ فَرُّ. So these people fled from kufr. They fled from kufr. Muslim calls you a kafir, you've got no right whatsoever, you've got no permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to respond by calling you a kafir. Whatever he calls, you've got no permission to respond with the same. If he wants to put his akhirah online, you don't have permission to put your akhirah online as well. Are they munafiqeen? Are they hypocrites? He said the hypocrites, they hardly do dhikr of Allah. He said these people are always in dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise now people call you mushrik, people call you innovator, deviant, whatever. So whatever you think about them, these are people who are always in the mosque. They're people who pray Jama'ah. You might not like them, you might not like what they say about you. They're people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, perhaps more than you. You can't call them munafiqeen. What are they then? What are they? So he's asked, what are they? Any group now that faces you and starts accusing you of this or that, use a statement to say, no, he said, إِخْوَانُنَا الَّذِينَ بَغَوْا عَلَيْنَا. They are our brothers who have wronged us. They are our brothers who have wronged us. Any group out there, they say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. If you differ with them, say they're our brothers who have wronged us. Nothing more than that. You cannot call them kuffar, you cannot call them munafiqeen, you cannot call them anything except our brothers who have wronged us. Wronged us because we differ with them in the stances that they take. But we understand our belief. We understand the orthodox belief. We don't agree with that, but they're still our brothers in Islam. Until they make a statement kufr, they're still our brothers in Islam. All of this conflict that arose amongst the Sahaba, what did we say at the beginning? You protect your tongue from it. Why do we state this? Just to understand what happened historically, nothing more than that. Sayyidina Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, al-Khalifa al-Rashid, the rightly guided Khalifa Sayyidina Umar ibn Aziz, when he was asked about this, what you say about the conflict between Sayyidina Ali and Sayyidina Muawiyah, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected our swords from their blood, protect your tongues from their blood. He protected our swords. We were not there fighting and killing Sahaba, alhamdulillah. We may have been in that case, and we may well have ended up killing Sahaba. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected us from that. No. Protect your tongue. Don't speak ill of any Sahabi. Like now you've got some people like cursing Sayyidina Muawiyah. He stood against Ali. That's Sahib al-Wahi, that's Katib al-Wahi. He's one of those, the 44 scribes that the Prophet appointed to record revelation. Now, although you may differ with some of the things that he did, you cannot speak ill of him. You cannot speak ill of him. He made an ijtihad. We consider that he was mistaken in his ijtihad because he stood against the Khalifa. That's as far as you can go. We consider he was wrong because we have hadith that indicate that when the Prophet spoke about Sayyidina Ammar ibn Yasir, he said, تَقْتُلُكَ الْفِئَةُ الْبَاغِيَةُ. He says, the oppressive group will kill you. And he was on the side of Ali. From that we can say the other side was in the wrong. Because the Prophet said, the side in the wrong will kill you. So we know that the stance of Sayyidina Muhammad wasn't the correct stance, but he's Katib al-Wahi. He's somebody who recorded revelation. Whatever his business is between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we do not speak ill of any Sahabi. We do not speak ill of any Sahabi. We cannot say anything against Sayyidina Muawiyah, because irrespective of what he did, his son is a different matter.
Wasn't that regarding the
His son is a different matter.
That the opposite side of the creed was not regarding the Khawarij rather than the Muawiyah?
What's that?
The oppressors of the creed.
I was mentioned that was about the army of Sayyidina Muawiyah, the appearance of the army of Sayyidina Muawiyah. Yazid's a different character, so we can believe that. Alhamdulillah. Stop it.